here.
All right, in addition to our first market report of the year, we are going to discuss 5 hacks that buyers can use so that they can afford to buy their dream home, even with the higher interest rates. So today's going to be a special market report.
Or just a home.
Or just a home, yes, okay. All right, so I've got notes here because Kelly is our financial guru and she's the one that came up with our hacks, so I want to have the notes so we don't miss anything. So we're going to go through the buyer's hacks first. Then we're going to jump into the mood of the market. Then we'll get to the graphs and dive into all the normal stuff from the market report. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, question number 1, or point number 1.
Yes.
Add a small amount to savings each week or each paycheck.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is, you're probably already putting some towards your savings, maybe a retirement or whatever. That's not this. This is like just a small amount every single paycheck that's extra that you put away in a safe place, savings account, stock drawer, whatever.
Okay.
That's what that
and
is.
just don't touch it.
Just don't touch it.
So this is good for either setting up for the down payment or for if you're expecting a higher monthly payment, it'll give you some buffer
Right,
for that.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And it also teaches you that if you can do it for that amount of time, then it's like, oh, I really didn't miss.
Yeah, developing the habit.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about like in our situation where we're a commission earner? We don't get a steady paycheck.
Right, so the concept is the same, right?
Okay.
So for us, instead of doing it at the regular paycheck intervals, we're gonna wait until we actually get a commission check, and we'll have to do it not commission, but percentage based. Okay.
All right. So point number 1, add a small amount to savings, develop the habit of saving that money. Small amount to savings. Number 2 is reevaluate your credit card balances. What do you mean by that?
Okay, either log into your accounts, your credit card accounts, or even call the credit card companies and reacquaint yourself with your current interest rates. Also, you may have taken advantage of some promotional deals like balance transfers where you got this really, really low interest rate for a limited time. You want to make sure you know when that's going to expire.
Okay.
And when those rates are going to go up and what they're going to go up to.
Okay, and that's really important now because of the rising interest
Right.
rates, because a lot of credit cards will go up with that.
Right.
Okay, so if you're going to pay off a credit card, there are 2 schools of thought. One is pay off the lowest balance first, then you can take that payment and snowball it into the next
Right.
one. The other one is pay off your highest interest balance first. What do you subscribe to? And is it situational? What do you think?
It's situational. You and I have done both throughout our 20-something year career together. And it's just whatever you and whoever else is involved is most comfortable.
Number 3, choose 1 bill per month to negotiate down. So is this different than your credit cards? Or what are you talking about?
It's so different. So think about the things that you pay for every month for household, right?
Okay.
Or just for your living.
Okay.
So you're thinking cell phone bills, your lawn service, maybe you have housekeeping, anything like that, right?
Okay.
And you're going to try one of 2 things. Number 1, when you call them, start with the one that you've been a customer of the longest, because they have more incentive to keep you. Try to get in immediately with their retention department. Sometimes they'll go ahead and transfer you, and sometimes you won't. You'll have to go through sales and all that first. But when you say that you're interested in bundling or you might be moving to another company, they really want to try hard to keep you. And they'll offer, even if it's just limited time promotions, quite often they're going to give something just because you called and asked.
Okay. So in other words, take a look at all of your monthly bills that you just are habitually paying and see what you can do to reduce those. And also if you have memberships to things that maybe you're not even thinking of, like some auto renewal thing, consider getting rid of those.
And I think they have like subscription apps now that track your subscriptions. Look at those and just take a minute and delete the ones that you don't want. Also bundling, like phone, internet, cable, you can bundle that and save. We just did this. I don't think you know this. We added an umbrella insurance policy, and when we combined our homeowner's insurance, the umbrella, and auto, we actually reduced our car insurance by quite a bit because we bundled everything.
So just by doing these things, we still have the same services, but you're freeing up more money to be able to afford that potentially higher payment because of the interest rates. Okay. All right, create a monthly budget. So you're in charge of our budget. You handle our finances. So I know you have a specific structure that you use. What do you do there?
There are a lot out there, a lot of really great financial gurus out there, and I put them on that post that I did. Ours, we do it faith-based, so it's the biblical principles. So as soon as the check comes in, after taxes, we tithe 10%, then we save 20%. we live on 65% and we have 5% left over for fun.
Okay, all right, very good.
That's why we're not having any fun. I'm just kidding.
So the key is not necessarily what the structure is, but the key is to get a structure that both of you can agree on. If you have partners that you can agree on and stick to create that.
That's
that budget.
the key. Is this wouldn't work if we weren't on the same page. If you wanted to follow Dave Ramsey or Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'm like, oh, I want to follow Jesus, then.
Got me with that one. Okay, last one is stop waste. Okay, so on here you have some notes about get a nice coffee maker so that you can save on going to Starbucks, or get a home gym so you don't waste money on a gym membership or things like that.
Right.
But one of the things that came to mind was a personal experience that we had. You remember that lawn that we did when we were back in Florida?
No, I forgot.
You blocked that. So we had a situation where our lawn became overgrown with thorny stickers to the point the dogs wouldn't even walk in the yard.
It's awful.
So we had a lawn guy, and he offered to replace the sod, to tear all the old grass out, replace the sod. He was going to charge us $6,500. We had a quote from a lawn company that was going to come in and they were going to lower it down 2 inches into the dirt. They were going to do all this stuff to it. They were going to be $13,000. Well, we chose to go with the $6,500.
I mean, that sounds like a great budget-friendly idea.
Makes total sense. So our lawn guy and his son got out there, tore out the lawn, put the new sod down. 3 months later, the thorns are back. So we ended up paying $13,000 on top of it, on top of the $6,500. So we took a $13,000 lawn job and turned it into a $19,000 lawn job.
We were really smart.
So Kelly brought up some good points with this. Is it's get high quality things when you're getting things that are meant to last, like if it's clothes, if it's going to be the coffee maker, get something that's going to last you so that you're not spending money frequently.
And I'm not saying go buy all the best clothes or get the best coffee maker. What I'm saying is find the things that are really important to you. Watches and stuff for you.
Yes.
Coffee for me. Right? Let's save the coffee trips for when we're spending it with someone, but our little to-go carry it around. Let's invest in a nice coffee maker and all of that. There was something else I wanted to say on this topic. What was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember. All right, but if it comes to you, let me know.
Okay.
So these are some tips. So the first tip is more of saving up the money for down payment, or just getting in the habit of knowing that you can save.
Yeah, and that little extra on the paycheck is not meant to hurt, right? It's not a huge thing. It's just like
discipline.
A little thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the remaining 4, those are designed to help you budget it out in case you do have to have a higher payment.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, as a buyer, when you're buying a home right now, keep in mind that when you buy the home, you will have the option at some point of refinancing if the interest rates come down. So assuming that you can qualify for that refinance, you always have the option of doing that and getting those payments down then too. So
as little as 6 months after you get your loan, you can refinance.
So this could help you bridge that gap while you're trying to do that. Other thing to consider as buyers. So what we're seeing in the market, we're going to get into the whole market report here in just a couple minutes, but what we're seeing is that demand is way outweighing supply right now. A lot of buyers that were looking in the market 6 months ago, they were the ones that pulled back because they were looking at $1 million houses, and then all of a sudden they could only afford a $850,000 house. So for them, it was kind of a shock.
It's kind of a blow, right? It's an emotional blow. It's been we've talked to a lot of our clients that are experiencing that. It takes a hit on you, you know?
And so those are the buyers that are kind of sitting back right now, waiting for the prices to come down, or waiting for interest rates to come back down. Buyers come into the market in waves, and what we're seeing now is the buyers that are coming into the market now, since the interest rates have come through, they're not experiencing that blow. So they're coming in, they're starting with $850,000 houses because that's what they know they can afford.
Believe it or not everyone was even aware of what was going on these last couple of years.
This is true.
They weren't thinking about it, right?
So buyers are coming in the market right now and they're buying these houses. So inventory is not keeping up with demand like that right now. We're going to get into that deeply, here in just a few minutes. But that's just something to keep in mind. So everybody is being fed the information that the market is on the way to a huge crash. We are not seeing it. And again, I'll show you the numbers, I'll show you the data, but just be aware of that. So as you're making your decisions moving forward, if you were one of those people that wanted $1 million house and now can only get an $850,000 house, use these hacks, use different techniques to try to get to where you can afford the house you want or get closer to it. And
that's what I was going to say.
What's that?
getting close to the house, right? It's not about the dream home always.
Yeah.
Get the right location, get something you can work with.
Yeah.
And this is where I said, I was telling you earlier, it's not about like, okay, well, we know we have to do some renovating and hire this company and they come in and they do it all for you and all that. Hire a few people, get everybody's opinions. They're going to give you some really excellent ideas. Write these ideas down, make a plan for like the next year, and use Angie's List or hire it out. Ask them to do smaller bits of the job.
Ask Kelly, she loves
do it yourself, which is great.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be your dream home, but if you're renting right now and you're choosing to rent versus buy, remember you're paying 100% interest on your rent. So 7%
Throw that money
less.
at yourself instead of at your landlord.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have anything else to add?
No, that was it. That was my most exciting part.
Okay.
I'm going to go back and start painting now.
All right, so we're going to get to the actual numbers, go through the statistics, and let you know exactly what's going on in the market. Okay, so we're getting ready to dive into the graphs, and one of the things that I wanted to go over before we dove into this, and I know we talk about this almost every week when we're doing these market reports, but a lot of buyers are kind of sitting aside waiting for this market crash to happen, waiting for prices to come down. And the basics of how prices work in any industry with regards to any product is the basic law of economics, which is supply versus demand. And if you have increased supply versus what the demand is, then the prices for that product are going to come down because there's too much of it and the demand isn't there. But when you have more demand than you have supply, then that forces prices to increase or at least stay the same. And as we're going to see when we dive into this market report, the mechanics over the last several weeks, maybe even the last several months, there's been more demand than there has been supply. And you're going to see that did not even change even over the holidays. So let's dive right into the numbers so that we can take a logical look at what's going on with the market. Also keep in mind when we look at these numbers, we are looking at leading indicators, not lagging indicators. We're not looking at closed sales, because closed sales give us what was going on in the market 30, 45, 60 days ago. We're looking at properties that have come to the market in the last 7 days and properties that have gone under contract in the last 7 days. So we're seeing the actual market activity of the last 7 days, not the last 45 to 60 days, okay? So let's dive in. All right, so as always, the buyer activity is our orange line and the inventory is our blue line. And you can see that during the holidays, we did have some decreases. So we didn't do a market report last week because we were out for the holidays. This is actually the first market report in 3 weeks. So we have, if this looks a little more progressed than usual, that's why. But you can see that we had a significant decrease in inventory. We had a significant decrease in buyer activity, but that decrease in buyer activity was a lot less than the inventory. So we had a huge gap. Where's my ink? There it is. A huge gap right here. This gap is the gap that shows the increase in demand over supply. So supply is still significantly lower than demand. So when we come over to the seller's market versus the buyer's market, you can see that this is the last market report we did. You can see we were in a seller's market and then we had a huge spike. We moved up to 300% as far as absorption rate. We haven't seen that number anywhere. Now, what's important about this is the demand versus the supply. This does not indicate the activity that was happening in the market. Because if you go over here, you can see that market activity during the holidays has gone down, which we expected to happen because it's a seasonal event. But even though that market activity went down, there was still much more demand than there was supply. So we have been consistently, since this point right here, we have been consistently in a situation where we've had higher demand than we've had supply. So we're about to move into the spring. In the spring, that's when a lot of the buyers come out and that's when a lot of sellers come out. So the only way that we're going to start seeing prices come down is if the inventory increases at a much more significant rate than the buyers that come out or their demand. And that would have to be a huge increase in inventory. So are we going to see that? Nobody can predict the future, but right now the mechanics are not there for prices to start coming down. On next week's market report, I will go into more of the history, like a full report of what happened in the month of December. So we'll kind of see that lagging report to see what happened during that month. But as far as what's going on week to week, we are not seeing any evidence of the mechanics for prices to be able to start reducing. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. If you are a seller and you're considering selling in the spring, you may want to give serious consideration to bringing a properly priced property for its condition to the market now, because there's very little competition out there. There's very little inventory, and there are a lot of buyers out there looking. Okay, let us know if you have any questions. If you got good information from this video, please click the like and the subscribe button, and we will see you on next week's video. Have a great week.